Hello everybody. I wanted to take a minute in my kitchen just to talk about creating practical life work from what you already have. You don't need anything special. I just raided my kitchen cabinets and drawers and came up with a couple things that you might be able to make at home, and I just wanted to show you how. It is really convenient to start with some trays. If you have some of different sizes. If you do not, plates will work. And if you don't have any to spare, you can also differentiate the space with even just a placemat and have it be something that they're just working on right then. It does help to keep your work contained. The first work that we often have in our shelves is just a really simple pouring work, pouring from one container to another. You can use tiny containers or larger containers. In this one here, I just have little beans. You can use rice, you can use little beads, and they pour back and forth. This can also be done with water. If you have containers with handles or spouts, small pitchers, these are very convenient for this first pouring work. I don't have two of those, but anytime you would use water in a practical life work, I'd recommend using a sponge, and that way the child can clean up by themselves. We consider it part of the lesson and part of the work, and it's just kind of completes the activity. Or you could use a small towel, anything that implies that cleaning up is still their job. You could also pour from one container into multiple containers, and that's another practice of both perception and pouring. They do that one quite a bit. Teapots and teacups are really nice for this. You could also do this with dry ingredients. So there are a lot of variations on what we call transfer work, moving from one container to another. We try to use lots of tools that strengthen the wrist, strengthen the hand in this motion, like tongs, strengthen the pincher grasp. And I'll show you how you can vary those a little bit. Just 2 containers generally for transfer work should do. And even just one, moving your objects from one to another. With tongs is something that they can actually do for quite a while. If you wanted to add another element to something like this, actually before we add another element, you can do the same type of work, spoon transfers, practicing using the wrist motion is another way to do the same thing. You can also spoon rice from one container to another, or all manner of things. You can use the same tools and add another element of sorting. If I added, say, some mushrooms to my strawberries and put them together, could do several things at once. They again could use tongs to sort them out. Like that. You would show this once before giving it to your child, and they would know that they wouldn't really be done until all of the pieces are back how they found it. If it does have its own tray, then they could return the tray to a shelf or a table where you keep your work, and that makes it quite convenient. Let's see what else. Like tongs, tweezers are really nice for the same type of hand strength, but for moving smaller things. You can be creative again. You can move little noodles or beans. I even have a little bowl of my daughter's toys that they could move back and forth. Or you could use something like this. This is an ice cube tray. They come in lots of shapes and colors and sizes, but these are nice for transfer works, also for practicing one-to-one correspondence. One object, one whole. These are also nice for transferring water. Let's say I probably wouldn't put something with a spout in because I wouldn't want to make it a pouring work, but I do not have a baster with me. Probably make this a bowl. Basters are great for the whole hand strength, and they will do it for a long time, and they'll watch the bubbles and they'll move it back and forth. They're great for that. Eyedroppers are kind of the next level of that same idea of strengthening your fingers and your pincher grip. After doing something like this, the child, once they were complete, would move it all the way back. This is probably a little big for an eyedropper, though they could do it. It's more baster size. An eyedropper could also be used to transfer water, from 2 little containers. Again, if you were gonna do something like this or this, I'd put a sponge on the tray and hold the child accountable for cleaning up after themselves. They really enjoy the process and the using of towels and sponges as well. The only other one I have sitting here is a funnel. A funnel can be a lot of fun. You would just find a container with a narrow opening so that they would need to use it. And then they could both have a narrow opening or not, and you would show them how to use the funnel. And once again, you would offer them a way to clean up for themselves, increasing their independence. Practical life in our classroom is one of the most beloved and visited areas of our classroom by children of all ages. It develops their fine motor and hand-eye coordination. It develops their independence, their ability to care for themselves and pour things and walk with a tray and clean up after themselves. Especially their concentration. These 2 minutes that they might spend doing this eventually builds to longer and longer times, which is needed for the more advanced things that we get to later in the curriculum. I think if you had a couple of these in your home, whether you kept a shelf or made 1 or 2 at a time, your child would really enjoy being able to do something like what we do at school at home. We call these our practical life shelves. There are more, and we'll go over more later in the weeks to come. But I hope that gave you some ideas. I've linked some resources onto the webpage so that you can look at some classroom shelves and some home shelves and see how other people have done these. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that this is something you can put together in your kitchen without any special materials or expensive little objects. If you are needing certain items for your practical life shelves, if it's just not something you have as little pictures, let me know and we can stick some for lending in your take-home box next week. I hope you enjoy creating some practical life work with your child. I bet they would love to help. Thanks. Bye.